Let's also bring in Kamini into this conversation. Kamini Dandapani, your book, the book of Rajaraja Chola, the King of the Kings. What was your motivation behind writing this book?
Well, I had several motivations. Growing up, my history books did not barely cover South Indian history. It was mostly the history of the North and independence. So I developed a interest in history much later in life. And I started digging around on my own, actually. I started a blog in which I wrote a lot of history pieces. And then it was my publisher who approached me and asked me to work on this particular book, about Chola history. And I told them I'm not a historian, I'm not an academic, this is not my area of expertise. And they said, this is precisely why we're asking you, because we want a layperson's account, something that people like all of us can enjoy reading, because what was there till then was very, very dry, boring. It would put you to sleep in seconds, So multiple motivations. It was very, very hard, but I'm so glad I did it.
So what was that, one uniqueness about this king, about Rajaraja Chola, and of course the dynasty that he created, that you think that the entire country should know? Of course, like I said in my opening monologue as well, that most of the knowledge that people have about the Chola kingdom is cursory in nature, it is peripheral in nature, but it definitely can need it needs some marketing, which perhaps you can provide.
Absolutely, you said it. So, there are many reasons. The fact that we're talking about the Cholas all these, 1,000 years later means something. So there were several reasons why Rajaraja, I think, stood out and why he's called the greatest of the Cholas. First of all, he and his dynasty came up at a time of tremendous chaos, instability. South India was in a state of great flux at that time. And, most of what we call kingdoms or empires were small regional little powers, that captured a few villages or towns beyond their core territory, but that was that. It was constant backstabbing, fighting, just grabbing territory. And in the midst of this highly, highly unstable period, Rajaraja managed to create what I guess today we would call a kingdom. There are people who squabble with, how we define it. But the fact is that almost all of peninsular South India came under his, rule, part of Sri Lanka as well. So he really thought out of the box. He was not content with, just having a few stray villages beyond his immediate core territory. He methodically went out and captured a large territory. And now, having got that, he had a real, massive problems at hand, because these were all diverse. They worshipped differently, they spoke different languages, they were fiercely loyal to their local, powers. So to kind of ensure loyalty was a difficult thing, and he did this in several ways. I think the most amazing thing was the temple he built, the Brihadishwara temple. It was mammoth. And, this was a man who thought big out of the box. And I don't know where he got this kind of thinking from. But the temples until that point were small little, 2 and 3 story structures, very local to the villages that they were in. People worshipped right there. They had a rich history of association with, the Bhakti saints who had been there a century or two earlier. But the Brihadishwara temple was the tallest structure in, I would say, all of India at the time. There was nothing of that magnitude that had been built. And it was in a place with no prior religious association. And he drew the entire kingdom into the working of this temple. And that was one way he kind of consolidated the kingdom and made them feel that they had something in common. So it was a matter of prestige if you donated to the temple. Revenues from villages all over his kingdom were poured into the temple for its building and its upkeep. And the other thing, we've Anirudh and Mr. Arya have already spoken about it, about the trade. He was connected, hooked into a much larger world. He did not think local. So he saw there was a world beyond. He somehow found out that, securing a trade deal with China would be to his benefit. So he sent a trade delegation there. That is far-sighted thinking, So he drew that world into his own. He was very, very connected. So we have a lot to, learn from Rajaraja about the way he operated. he kind of had a big land organization survey that he did to standardize measurements and standardize so much because, as I said, this was a ragtag collection of villages that did things very differently. So he tried to standardize things. So for this and so many other things, art flourished in his kingdom. I think he should be really admired, and that's why we're still talking about him today.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.